I really do think Xenoblade 2 definitely has to be another really good entry in the Xenoblade series, and I don't know if it's my favorite one yet, but I definitely do love it a lot. I didn't play it at launch mostly just because I didn't have a Switch, but when I did get it and when I got my hands on a copy, I ended up enjoying it for hours on end. And then there was even more content with the expansion pass, which I also played through quite a lot. But even with the base game, I still think there was enough for you to enjoy that where you don't need the expansion pass to, get more out of the game. And also this video will just be on the base game with no mention of Tony of the Golden Country, since I think that's a good enough game on its own and for the price for the most part. And I actually will talk about that in its own video just because I feel it's long enough with the story and the content to warrant its own video. But enough stalling, and let's get into the actual video. And one of the things that I definitely love has to be the game has a pretty nice world to explore. I feel you could say this about the Xenoblade series as a whole, but frankly 2 is still no exception. These areas are not connected like the other two, but I feel each area is given enough detail and they actually feel lived in, and that I find it not to be a major deal that they're not connected. With huge amount of side quests as well, they can actually send you all over the place, and frankly I feel that helps make each of the maps just feel really cool because you can go to all the hidden areas and whatnot. And it's definitely one of my favorite games just to walk around and see the areas, just because again each titan is just really cool to explore. Then there are all the characters, and frankly I have to say that I feel this is one of my favorite cast of characters in any JRPG I've played. Even characters I don't particularly like Rex and Toa, I can see why people enjoy them, and I don't really hate them. It's just that, for me, they took a lot longer to grow on in comparison to other characters like Zeke, Morag, and Nia. I found their arcs to be pretty solid overall. And then we have the villains that being Jin, Malos, and the rest of Tono. I really enjoyed Malos and Akos, the latter just because of the amount of sass he has to the main party. Malos I also really liked both in his characterization and his reasoning. I found to be pretty overall cool. I'll just add this one here as well, but I really enjoyed the story. It has a lot of plot twists that I found super interesting, like spoiler alert, but for example Zeke being a Blade Hero, along with Nia's backstory about her being Blade and stuff, I could not see coming. Then there's also the main story of getting to Elysium and stopping Malos and Jin, which again had me interested all the way through. Then we also have the gameplay, which definitely is one of the best systems in any RPG I've played thus far. It's different from the other Xenoblade games, but it's still really fast paced and I think has a really good amount of depth to it. Each character minus Toa has 8 different weapons that you could end up using, those being Twin Rings, Great Axe, Mega Lance, Ether Cannon, Shield Hammer, Chroma Katanas, Bit Balls, and Knuckle Claws. And they each have their own 4 unique arts. Well, you can only use 3 of them, but mind, everyone does actually get their own unique weapon type minus Nia. Rex has a little bit more because he has Mithril and Pyro, but still you have a lot of different options. Along with that, there's mixing and matching different elements for blade combos using pouch items, arc skulls, the blade's passive abilities, the blade specials and their effects, and many other parts of the gameplay just makes me really love it. I can't say if I like this better than the originals or X's gameplay, but it's still extremely addicting on its own rights, and I still think it's really cool. I also love the game's OST, and while it's not Xenoblade X's soundtrack, I think this easily trumps the first game to me. And that's not to say that Xenoblade 1 is bad with the OST, I just think Xenoblade 2 is a lot better to me at least. Some tracks like the Battle theme, Drifting Solo, Counter Talk, Moradane, and the Argentum theme, and just a few others are really notable standouts to me. Then we have the visuals and just the style, and frankly, I do think that this is one of the best looking Wii U games. There are a lot of locations in the Titans, like ones in Uriah, Moradane, Tantal, and a few others that just visually look amazing, and it makes me wonder how Monolith managed to pull this off on the Switch. And also, the game has a massive amount of content to do, from stuff like getting all the unique monsters, doing all the blade and normal side quests, getting real blades with or without New Game Plus, and even maxing out all the real blades affinity charts. If you're looking for an RPG that takes a long time to fully complete, this is the game on the Switch to get. And even if you get the DLC, you have extra side quests, 6 more real blades, challenge mode, and the prequel story that takes about 20 hours to finish at least the main story. And frankly, I still love coming back to this game and trying to finish everything just because it's really fun. And frankly, still, I do think that this is another excellent title from Monolith Soft, and I was really surprised that it came out so early in the Switch's life. They did end up updating with, of course, the DLC and just making some changes to make the game a little bit better, and I think, again, in the end, with the final version that we did end up getting, like, years after, it's just really great. And there's a lot to love about this title, as you can probably see from my video, but nonetheless, there are some things I didn't really like about it, and one of these things that you can probably tell has to be the tutorials. And there were some parts of the game where I already understood, like breaking and toppling, but stuff like fusion combos, how the blade combos interacted with them, pouch items and their effects, arc scores, the driver's accessories, and much more, I didn't really understand initially. And I feel the game just straight up didn't explain them all too well, or just not at all. And again, I do love the combat, but it definitely does suck that you have to go out of your way to look up guides, and I do think the game just fails on that front. Another aspect that I was really annoyed at had to be how bad the map is at getting you around. To me, it's really annoying doing side quests because you have to go to certain locations, of course, and with the map, it doesn't give you a clear indication on where exactly it is on the map, where it gives you a small dot, but for example, it might be at a higher elevation, and it vaguely does that. And I know there is the compass at the top of the screen, but even with that, it doesn't really help you as much. It tells you if you're on the right plane or not, but even then, you might be on the right plane, but it might not exactly show you exactly where. And I'm kind of glad with Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, it kind of helped that issue, but again, that's a whole different game, and I kind of wish they added that in Xenoblade 2. And something else I didn't really enjoy had to be how rail blades are separated. And don't get me wrong, I don't really hate the RNG for some blades. It just feels how that some of them will go on via side quests or the main story, and some of them are just random. It just felt like a weird disconnect to me, partly because, instead of just walking up to the wheel blade and seeing them interact with the characters, you just randomly pull it. And for me at least, I just wasn't as interested in some of them initially as I should have been. And I do believe that you can get interested in an RNG blade by the design. Again, I just wish we got to see the personality a lot more quickly. And I do get the hype from pulling a wheel blade. Again, I just wish that you got to own them instead of just grinding out core crystals. But frankly, I still think Xenoblade 2 is a fantastic game. And while my dislikes are kind of annoying to me, I don't think they make the game a lot worse. Well, minus the tutorials, of course, because that is the biggest downside to me. And as I mentioned, it definitely made my first experience not the greatest because, again, I didn't really understand it as much. And while I love the gameplay now, I just wish it could have been a little bit better. But regardless, Xenoblade 2 is still an amazing title and a game I would definitely recommend to everyone who has the console. Now I want to hear what you guys liked and disliked about this entry, and let me know in the comments below. And of course, before I finish the video, I will go over my own likes and dislikes. Likes: great world to explore, fun/great characters, interesting story, fun gameplay, really great music, really great graphics and visual style, and a huge amount of side content. Dislikes: bad tutorials, map is not really helpful when exploring, and how rail blades are separated. Thank you all for watching, and see you guys later. And don't forget to follow my Twitter, link in the description, and also, like and subscribe.